Assalamualaikum and hi everyone. My name is Imran Imtiaz bin Muhammad Hanafi, but people usually just call me Tiaz. I am 18 years old and I am currently studying Business Management Transportation at campus UiTM Pasir Gudang. First of all, I want to say a huge thank you for all the viewers for watching my video. And the purpose of this video is to explain to you my experience on ODL. So without further ado, let's get right into it. So, you might be wondering, what are the content of this video? Well, I will separate this video into three parts. The first part is, I would love to show you guys my daily routine, what are the apps that I use, the websites to help me study. And for the second part, I will tell you how do I adapt to ODL and what are the obstacles and difficulties that I have to go through. And lastly, I would love to share with you the pros and cons of ODL based on my own experience. So, without wasting any more time, let's get right into the first part. I usually set my alarm at 7 AM every day, so that is the time I usually wake up. Or I guess I should say I try to wake up, because it usually just ended up with me going back to sleep for a couple more minutes. But I eventually do wake up and head straight downstairs to have my breakfast. And as for breakfast, I usually have an omelette and a glass of water. This is to help me gain a lot of energy so I can stay focused during my lectures. It is also important for me to switch my breakfast frequently, just so I don't get bored eating the same meal every day. So for example, if I have already eaten omelette as a breakfast for today, I will change to eating cereal for tomorrow. And after I have finished my breakfast, I head straight back upstairs and prepare for my lectures. And that is where the day really begins. I have to make sure that I stay focused for every class, so I don't miss out on anything important. And to make sure that didn't happen, I always prepare a notebook with me to write any notes given by my lecturers. This is really important because it lets me store all of the information that I've learned during my class, so I can study and review it later. Another thing that I always bring for my class is a water bottle. This is also very essential for me because it lets me stay hydrated, and by being hydrated, it automatically helps me to stay focused on my class better. Now, let's move on to the apps and mediums that I often use during my online distance learning experience. The first one is Google Meet. Google Meet is a platform where multiple people can gather together for a meeting, or as for a student such as myself, I use it as a platform to attend my class. To start a meeting, you can simply press the Start an Instant Meeting button, or you can join a meeting by clicking a link that has already been created. Whether you decide to turn on your microphone and camera is completely up to you. And furthermore, you can even choose a background for yourself. How nice is that, right? Next is Discord. Discord is a voice, video, and texting app that is used by millions of people around the world. For example, my friend created a server where my class can join to study and hang out together. By studying together, we can exchange ideas and make the discussion a lot more fun. In addition to that, you can also add bots in your server to play some music, so that everyone can relax while they study and have a good time together. And lastly is Google Classroom. Google Classroom is a platform where the teachers can create a virtual class for their students. Google Classroom is where me and other students have to turn in our assignments and test answers. Also, Google Classroom will notify me if there is any assignments that have not been turned in or work that are missing. it is really convenient, especially for online distance learning. Now, let's move on to the second part of the video, which is the obstacle that I have faced during online distance learning and how did I adapt to it. The main obstacle that I have faced in ODL is the difficulty to catch up with other students. At first, I was completely overwhelmed by this new method of learning, such as having to do my assignments online. And the fact that other students seems that they are already comfortable with online learning just makes me more sad. Next is I also find it hard to understand what the lecturer are saying because I am so used to the face-to-face learning method. This caused me a lot of stress, which is really bad because I could lose motivation to continue my study, and as a result, it might make me wanting to quit UITM. But thankfully, I found a way to adapt to online distance learning. Firstly, I always review back the notes that are given in Google Classroom if there is anything that I find difficult to understand during the class. Also, it is extremely important to stop doing your assignments or any work and take the time to do a little stretching so that you can avoid any fatigue. Secondly, I find listening to music helps me to relax, and it also assists me to avoid getting too stressed out on my assignments. I always prefer slow music so that I can calm myself down before I continue doing my assignments. Lastly, I noticed that it is important to take breaks every now and then, just so you don't get too burnt out on any subjects. So during my breaks, I like to have a quick gaming session to help me relax. Although, it is still really important to remind yourself and make sure you don't take a long rest, because otherwise you will become too lazy to continue doing your assignments and it might stop your learning progress. And now for the last part of the video, I would like to talk to you guys about the pros and cons of online distance learning, and in bracket, IMO. The first pros that I'm going to talk about is that I think ODL has taught me a lot of different things. It seems to me that I have learned something new every single day. And for example, I have learned how to use Microsoft Words, Canva, and I also get the chance to explore several different websites such as Quillbot, Discord, and I think all of this would not be possible without ODL. So I think the main advantage of ODL is that it definitely helps students to become more creative in their own learning methods. Now let's move on to the first cons. For the first one, I think is that, well, of course, ODL relies heavily on a good internet connection, right? So it is quite unfortunate because not every student is gonna have a smooth experience or a nice experience during their lectures or during their group discussions with their friends. So that is why, in my opinion, it is still lacking in that aspect, because you would not have this problem or trouble if you are doing a face-to-face conversation with your lecturers or your friends. So for the next pros of ODL is that I think students become more responsible because of online distance learning. This is because every student, or I guess I should say every college, have a very strict schedule, right? So just because students are staying in their own house right now doesn't mean they get the luxury of waking up late or turning in their assignments late. No, students still, or responsible students I should say, still get to become creative and maybe create their own schedule or a timetable for them to follow, just because they didn't want to miss out on any important information or fall behind by their friends. And as for the last cons of ODL, I think ODL gives the luxury of cheating and lying for the, I guess, not so disciplined students, or I guess I should say mischievous students. For example, now it is far too easy for students to cheat or lie to their parents or lecturers. So they would probably tell their lecturers that they are listening in class or they are attending the live session, but in truth they are probably lying in bed, sleeping or playing video games online. And the upsetting thing about this is that the lecturers would never know because they don't have to open their camera or open their microphone. So yeah, that is another, I guess, big reason or main reason why I think ODL is still not quite perfect yet. So that is all from me for today. I hope all of you have learned something useful that would be beneficial for you someday. And lastly, I want to say a huge thank you for staying in until the very end, and hopefully we can meet each other again in the future. So that is all. Assalamualaikum and bye.
So please whatever. Please I want to reach 1 million likes. So please okay, thank you.